Margaret Lasky and Corla, and Minister, thanks for coming in this evening to take this topical yourself. Given that all 4 deputies from Cork North Central are here in agreement tonight, should be noted, as we have consulted with parents, corresponded with students and discussed this issue amongst ourselves and the wider school community over the last few weeks and months. To say the communication has been poor is an understatement. To say that a consultation process has been undertaken, at least an adequate one, is misleading. This decision is being foisted upon people late in the day, denying students of enrolment options elsewhere, evicting students of the 4 ASD classes, the Lear Hub, from a building where they are immersed in a whole school experience to a prefab in a car park potentially. What we are calling for here this evening, Minister, is for you to engage with the trustees and patrons of both St Vincent's and the North Pres to ensure that students' rights to achieve their full personal, social and academic potential is achieved, but by consensus. We are calling on you to use your office to get the trustees to review their decision and at the very least re-engage with the school community and pause the current plans for amalgamation.
St Vincent's Secondary School is a post-primary school for girls under the patronage of the Religious Sisters of Charity. It had 215 students in the 2021-2022 school year. North Presentation Secondary School is also a post-primary school for girls and is under the patronage of Kesht. It had an enrolment of 138 students in the 2021-2022 school year. The Department of Education has received correspondence from the patrons of both schools regarding their proposed amalgamation and a change of status of the new amalgamated school to coeducational. The decision-making authority for any amalgamation or change of status is the patron of the school. Where a school is considering an amalgamation, they should consult with their students, parents, staff and broader communities. It is the responsibility of the patrons to undertake this consultation and to make the final decision as to whether or not to amalgamate. Information provided to the Department of Education by the patrons indicated that there was a thorough local consultation process undertaken between March of 2021 and February of 2022 with the school communities of Catholic post-primary schools in North Cork City. This was indicated to have involved formal meetings with boards of management, staff, students, parents and guardians, as well as parents and guardians of students attending Catholic primary schools in the area. However, I am very conscious that there have recently been concerns raised by some members of the school communities and that these have been brought to the patrons' attention. The Department has been informed that there are ongoing discussions between the 2 school patrons who will in fact be meeting again with their respective schools on Thursday in relation to the matters raised. Thank you.
Pádraig O'Sullivan. Well, I'll give you a little discretion.
Thanks for the response. Obviously, just a couple of things to pick up on. Later on in your response here, it says it was indicated to have involved formal meetings with the Board of Management, staff, students, parents and guardians, as well as parents and guardians of students attending Catholic primary schools in the area. Just to clarify, from what we're being told by parents, there was one Zoom meeting that involved parents in particular, so I'm not necessarily sure that the process was followed as is outlined in the report of amalgamation of secondary schools, which was commissioned in 2001. Can I just ask 2 questions, Minister? One is, did this process that was undertaken abide by best practice? And secondly, and the most important question tonight is, can you give a commitment that the independent report compiled by Mr. Frank Smith will be published, even if it's in a redacted form? Can the parents and school community have sight of that report?
Thank the deputies for giving me an opportunity to outline to the House the current position in relation to the amalgamation of St Vincent's Secondary School and North Pres Secondary School Cork. I do absolutely note the unanimity amongst the deputies. But again, I do have to point out to you, and I am being absolutely truthful in saying this to you, the decision-making authority for any amalgamation or change of status is the patron of the schools in question. And I say that again to you, deputies, the decision-making authority for any amalgamation or change of status is the patron of the schools in question. Now, I am conscious, though, that very recently specific concerns have been raised by the school communities, and it is hugely important, and nobody knows that better than myself, it is hugely important that everybody within the school community has had an opportunity to express their thoughts, their views and their opinions on any process. My department has engaged with representatives of the patrons. And they too are fully aware of the concerns that have been raised by the wider community. As I have outlined to you earlier, it is now my understanding, following the engagement that the Department has had with the patrons, that the patrons of the 2 schools are having continued discussions and are conscious and aware of the issues that have been raised by school community.
Let the Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. And following the engagement that we have had with the representatives of the school's patrons, it is now my understanding that the 2 schools are having continued discussions, and they will be meeting again on Thursday of this week with their representative schools. I think that's positive. I think it's important that we take the opportunity to hear the concerns that have been raised. I think it's important that the patrons in this instance have agreed to that meeting and have agreed to the opportunity to meet with the respective schools. And again, I must have the opportunity to answer, Ceann Comhairle, and I'm saying that it is important, and I have heard the voices that are being expressed in this chamber. I have heard the voices in the community. We have, as a department, made contact with representatives of the patrons of the schools. They have committed to meeting on Thursday with the representative schools, and that's just 2 days away, and I look forward to the outcome of that discussion on Thursday.